is Connor Smith, and I'll be performing The Swamp by Patrick McManus. In this selection, gullibility and wild imaginations quickly turn normal events into hilarious chaos. We had just been strong from 8th grade for the summer. To celebrate, Bertie Thompson and I talked the old woodsman, Rance Crabtree, had taken us fishing on Pack River. Rance considered most of my friends a bunch of smarty pantses, but he liked Bertie. Probably because of Bertie being born with a serious psychological defect, chronic gullibility. Bertie believed everything Rance had told him. You ever hear of anybody to follow the river through the swamp? I asked Rancid.
The only person I ever heard of to follow the river through the swamp was me. Now I'd never hear it because it was me who done it.
You never told me that. Why don't you ever go back in there fishing? Rancid thought for a moment, then said,
There's a lot of strange critters back in that swamp. I seen a killer bat as big as a golden thar. Might have got me too, except I managed to slip away. Wheels still daylight. Fella sure wouldn't want to get caught in the swamp after dark. I can tell you that.
Listen, it's still early morning. Why don't we build a raft and float the river down to the swamp? We can catch some terrific fish. What do you say, Rancid?
Might be kind of fun. Sure, let's do it.
Bertie looked wildly from me to Rancid. But what about Killer Bat, Mr. Crabtree?
Killer bat? Oh, killer bat. Well, we don't have to worry about him unless we get caught in the swamp after dark. As I recollect, it only takes 3 or 4 hours to float down the road. We'll be out of the swamp no later than noon.
Rancid's predictions had a way of sending chills down my spine. I didn't for an instant believe his story about the killer bat, but just on principle I didn't want to be caught in the swamp after dark. It was still only about 8 in the morning, however. Rancid's predictions had a margin of error, approximately 8 hours of daylight. I knew there was no way we wouldn't be through the swamp before sundown. Immediately after sundown, one of the first things I noticed about the swamp was that it had become excessively creepy. We'd been lost for hours. Good grief, Bertie! Did you stop your moaning? It's getting on my nerves. We're never gonna find a way out here. I just know it!
Oh, what'd you say? I must have drifted off there for a spell. You fellers got any idea what in tarnation we is?
Bertie raised his eerie moaning by 2 octaves. We're gonna die in this swamp! I just know it! For the first time that day, I thought Bertie might have a point. Our problem was how to find the main channel. Rancid croaked through a haze of gnats.
I think we ought to go in the big dark shadow over there.
Which dark shadow?
Great big one shaped like a barn.
Bertie and I pulled our way through the shadow shaped like a barn. Suddenly, we detected some sort of current in the water. Maybe we've hit the main channel!
I told you I knew what I was doing.
We pulled into the shadow, feeling our way through the low-hanging branches. Say, Mr. Crabtree, but where in the swamps you kill a bat, the biggest goat?
Huh? What? Oh, killer bat. Well, I can't really say where it was. Might have been right near here. Area looks kind of familiar.
Oh, come on, Bertie. You'll believe anything anybody tells you. There's no such thing as a killer bat as big as a goat.
Is too.
Is not.
Is.
Mr. Crabtree saw it!
It proves it. It was a fearsome little critter too. I can tell you that. I sure hope he don't notice us.
We glided swiftly and smoothly along, the current now helping carry the raft. It seemed Rance was working on a ratio of 1 stroke of his pole to every 3 of mine. In fact, sometimes such a long duration between strokes of his pole, I assumed he was catching himself a quick snooze. During one of these periods, I noticed 2 Canada geese floating on the water directly ahead. I expected them to take off at any moment, but it seemed they too were apparently snoozing. Well, I thought, it'll be interesting to see how close we can get to them. The raft glided up beside the geese. When they were right next to Bertie, they noticed that the strange floating thing next to them consisted of part of 3 human beings. The geese explode in the air with thunderous flapping wings and deafening goose sounds. The killer bat!
My! Oh my!
Shouted Rancid, who obviously thought it was the killer bat, thrust at the geese with his 10-foot rafting pole as though it were a fencing sword. They're honkers! I yelled, but in the excitement and confusion of the moment was apparently misinterpreted as, we're goners!
Not yet! They ain't got us yet!
Then the geese were gone. The 3 of us stood on the raft, shaking. Although I had known all along that the ruckus was caused by geese, the experience unnerved me. Bertie was momentarily paralyzed by fright, as I suppose any would be thought they had just narrowly escaped the fangs of a giant bat. Rancid recovered much faster. He pulled us out of the swamp by himself. I remember this feeling especially well because it's the only time I've been in a log raft that achieved planing speeds. Later, as we walked up the road to get the truck, Rancid said,
You boys sure are lucky I was alone. Weren't for me fighting them off, them killer geese might have got both of yous.
There's no such thing as killer geese, Bertie said. I was astonished. Had the swamp cured Birdie of his gullibility? Branson walked in silence for a moment and said,
You know what, Birdie? If you're not careful, you could very easily become a smarty pants, just like someone else I knows.